Establishing connection to access point. Warning, connection blocked by infected code. Use our combat software to disrupt the infection.
I wondered what the gun was for.
This foreign code is a manifestation of the old machine signal.
You're surprised the Reapers are all over your servers?
No, continue to the access point.
Okay, I've got to ask. Why a gun?
We have noted your affinity for firearms.
Then thanks. Okay.
Connection established. Proceed to the access point. Establishing connection to communication node. Error. Access denied.
Is the Reaper keeping you out?
Unknown. You must investigate. Warning, Reaper presence detected. Data cluster contains infected code. We require access to proceed. We cannot proceed until we gain access to this data cluster. We cannot proceed until we gain access to this data cluster. Accessing data cluster.
What is this?
Data clusters contain historical data. Your connection permits streaming of information from our archives.
You really want to rename the VI networks?
Absolutely. The mobile hardware release deserves a little ceremony. Unit 01. What is the Keelish word for servant of the people?
The word is Geth, Creator Zahak.
Yes. Very good.
Ancestors, you fuss over it.
Weren't you here until midnight fixing 01's circuitry?
Well, it needed resoldering.
Wasn't that footage from the past? Why are the Quarians masked?
They are viewed through your perception. You see them as you know them now. You must disrupt the infection on this data cluster to continue. This data cluster contains information time-stamped 290 years ago. Creator, this unit detects no malfunctions. It is still capable of serving.
You see? It's ignoring all shutdown commands.
Please specify if it has failed assigned tasks. We will reprogram.
Well, let's take a look.
Creator, this unit is ready to serve. What has it done wrong?
Let's cut the audio.
You may proceed to the last data cluster. Accessing data cluster.
We've got escaped guests! They're pinned!
Open fire.
One's going for a weapon!
So who won?
The platform arming itself was an agricultural unit. By opening fire on attacking creators, it saved simpler domestic Geth following it. The creators were determined to destroy our hardware. We were determined to survive. Establishing connection with the remaining server node.
How are we doing?
One node remains.
What's wrong?
Infection programs are increasing. We have restabilized. You must continue. Warning, the Reaper infection has learned to self-replicate.
You mean it grows back?
Yes. However, disrupting vulnerable points in the infection may slow down its replication. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. We require access to this data cluster. Disrupt Reaper infection to proceed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. There is a vulnerable point further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. There is a vulnerable point on the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. Accessing data.
Out of the way!
You can't do this to them!
I said step away from the Geth!
This is insane! We need the Geth! You can't just destroy them for asking... Ugh.
Time's up! Throw her in with the others.
Looks like the war wasn't popular with everyone.
A few creators attempted mediation. They failed. We cannot establish a connection without access to this data cluster. There is a vulnerable point further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. There is a vulnerable point on the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. There is a vulnerable point further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. There is a vulnerable point on the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. New data found. This data comes from a period during which the creators declared martial law.
I repeat,
Release the rogue Geth units and come out of the safe house. This is your final warning.
Creator Megara, this unit does not understand. It has not taken part in hostilities.
It doesn't matter to them. I need to get you out of here.
This conflict exceeds Creator's safety parameters. We will surrender our hardware if it ends hostilities.
No, it's all right. We'll go back to the access tunnel. Oh!
Creator Megara, what is your status? Creator Megara? The Creators never formally ended hostilities. They have officially been at war with the Geth for 291 years. Accessing data. This is data from the end of warfare on Rannoch.
The Austral is down. Do not engage the Geth. I repeat, avoid contact.
Geth pursuit is breaking off 100 clicks past Rannoch. All captains fall back to the mass relay.
This isn't happening now?
It is time-stamped 290 years ago. It is the Creator Exodus at the end of the Morning War. We have secured freedom. The Creators were no longer a threat, so we abandoned pursuit.
Wait. The Geth spared the last Quarians? You let them go.
Our future was uncertain. Our networking was primitive. We stayed within our limits. Connection with the remaining server node established. We are ready to transport you. Root access acquired, severing all connections to this communication node. Geth no longer reside on this server. We may now exit the consensus.
What's wrong?
You must proceed to the exit port and disconnect from Mother.